So yeah, now that we're live on Twitch, for anybody who watches this, you're going to notice a little bit different in the. I'm talking to the audience now, or the air quotes audience. You guys are going to notice a little bit of a different production feel for this particular episode. I want to give a shout out to Mons of CDH TV. He took time out of his busy day to spend 7 to 10 minutes with me via Discord video call to show me how to do some of these things. So if it's creators supporting creators, and if you like this episode and what have you, and the production feel of it, Mons had a big part of that. So yeah, I'm grateful, and I think it looks pretty damn badass. I got Kaalia the Vast in that Double Masters foil thing with flames shooting up behind her. Pretty damn cool, you know. Anyhow, that's my little plug for production value. So, as the intro has said, which you guys out there on Twitch didn't get an intro, but there will be one on YouTube. This is the deck tech for Three Drinks, Kaalia the Vast. We are together. I say one last time, but not necessarily the last time. With the holidays coming up, and we have the tendency to put out an abundance of information, and this gives everybody the opportunity to kind of mull over everything that we've said in the total of 5 episodes. It gives us the opportunity to sharpshoot the things that we said, because sometimes we realize we're idiots and we're like, oh, that was stupid, or oh, that was brilliant, on the opposite side, on the converse of that. So it gives us the opportunity to do some post event analysis as well. So that way, come season 2, or if we're lucky enough to get to a season 2, we will produce that much better in our product and knowledge. At least that's the goal anyway. So without further ado, if my man Three Drinks is ready, I will turn it over to him, and I will just sit here, look pretty, and scroll over these photos for you guys. Go ahead, sir.
So, right quick, before we actually start, when you say we tend to sharpshoot a lot of information, do we sharpshoot that information with a bit of a goblin feel to it? Just imagine there's a rim shot in the background, and my magic dad joke will make all the sense in the world.
We're still streaming. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, sir.
See, they say before you drop a lot of knowledge on people, it's always best to open up with a bit of a joke, get people loosened up, get them feeling it,
Yep.
And so that's what I try to do. Me being the guy with the dad jokes and the really shitty pickup lines as if they're actually good. This is what I do. I like my humor. Anyway, I digress. So, tonight we're talking about Kaalia. Specifically, we're talking about the way that I, the godfather, so to speak, of Kaalia, go, where the majority of people, especially in the CDH metagame, like to play their combo, typically fast combo, trying to win on that turn 3, turn 4. I take a different approach, and it's the same approach I've been playing since 2011. I play stacks, because stacks, at its core, that's where every metagame eventually goes to. Because stacks, on its own, it's not a deck. Stacks is the natural, appropriate reaction to what you see, what you play against, what you start to regularly expect. Stacks is the response to that. So when a metagame starts to have a lot of stacks, or multiple stacks versus stacks versus stacks type of matchups, that's the sign of a very matured metagame. because everyone knows what they're doing, and they're gonna and now everyone is starting to play specific counterplay to that rather than traditional wham bam thank you ma'am games of Commander where players just show up, get their combo, and then move on to the next table. So now with that said, what I'm what I've done, so we're gonna start at the beginning. And the beginning of any Commander deck or any deck, any format in general, is your lands. Because without the lands, you can't do anything else. If you don't have lands, you're not casting spells, you're not interacting. And before you say it, don't give me any. Well, actually, you can cast Force of Will without lands. That's not what I'm talking about, and you know that's not what I'm talking about. So, uh, my mana base is fairly straightforward. There's not a lot of tricks involved in the mana base. No, you got it's a 3-color deck. There's a total of 11 different fetch lands. That's 9. The 9 we get. Prismatic Vista is the 10th. And then there's Fabled Passage, which is about as bad of a fetch land as you get that's still considered playable. Uh, from there, you got 3 Abu Duels, 3 Shock lands. You got a Tango land, which is Smoldering Marsh. Why is it a Tango land? Because you need 2 basics in order to come in to play untapped. Which means it takes 2 to tango, baby! Just imagine there's another room shot there in the background, and that'll make sense.
Maybe I'll add one.
I would love that. After that, you'll notice through that there's actually no Canyon Sloths, and there's no Savai Triome, and in a couple of sections, I'll go over in detail why I've opted not to play those, despite the fact that I love type duels, I love all my fetch lands, it makes the whole deck come together swimmingly. But yes, there's a reason for that. After all your type duels, you'll wind up with a Cavern of Souls, Command Tower, Reflecting Pool. These lands, they come in untapped, they fix all your colors. They don't really have a drawback. Yes, there's slight drawback with Reflecting Pool. We know. But when you play a deck that likes to play white into black, you will love to have a Reflecting Pool. It is fantastic. And then now you got Ancient Tomb, you got Strip Mine, Wasteland, pretty standard fare. Those are the only colorless lands in the deck. Not even Phyrexian Tower, not even Volrath Stronghold, not even Hall of the Bandit Lord, which is a land that, if you followed me at all, you know that I've played Hall of the Bandit Lord for almost 10 years. It's no longer what I would consider a part of the deck. Then rounding out the rest of the mana base, you got snow-covered mountains, some snow-covered plains, some snow-covered swamps, and Tressorhorn Sinks, which we'll look at that for a moment because that looks really bad compared to the rest. All these lands, they're fetch lands, they're expensive duels, everything comes in untapped, and then you see Tressorhorn Sinks, which looks pretty similar to a Rakdos Guild game. And again, there's a reason for that, because I'm playing Arcume's Astrolabe, which is, we all know what it does. Arcume's Astrolabe was it's been all the rage thanks to Modern Horizons. Pretty sure it saw some legacy play. It got banned in Pauper because of how good it is. It's basically 1 mana, plays itself, and it's going to be able to fix any of your colors. You just have to have a snow mana in order to cast it. And there's not a lot of options for snow mana, but in Mardu especially, but it is what it is. Tressorhorn Sinks fixes 2 of our colors, and it makes sure we can cast it. So that basically earns its spot. If I didn't play the Astrolabe, there's no reason I'd play Tressorhorn Sinks. There's so many better lands. Uh, but yeah, that's all there is to the mana base. Super simple, super basic, super effective. Uh, you know, there may be, small little quibbles that you could make to adjust for yourself, but ultimately you really can't go wrong with the mana base that I've happened to craft. Your wallet might hurt a bit trying to buy all that, but it's really, a fantastic place to scroll down here. Next up, we're going to look at the artifacts that we're playing, and this is easily the most controversial part of my take that a lot of people don't agree because a lot of people, quite frankly, in this format are sheep. They see, oh, well, this person plays this, so I have to play this. And next thing you know, you've got 30,000 Kaalia decks out there that all look 90% the same. So, how am I different? I don't play mana rocks. Let's say that again. I do not play mana rock. No Soul Ring, no Mana Crypt, no Moxen, no Signets, no Talismans, nothing. Why? Because I play Null Rod, I play. Where'd the other card go? Oh, that must be down in enchantments. But I play Null Rod, I play Stony Silence, because everyone out there loves their mana. They love their Moxen, their Soul Ring, and they especially love their Smothering Tithe. I hate Smothering Tithe, not because it's good. I mean, quite frankly, I think it's a really awful card because you're paying 4 mana for nothing, a blank, until your opponents do something. Uh, but people love this card. They love trying to play it and then get some wheels going on to get a bunch of treasures, and I get it. I get the interaction. But because everyone loves this card and they build their decks in such a way that they use a lot of mana rocks to chain into other rocks, I can play cards like Null Rod, and basically I just got a massive X for one over all these decks because all of a sudden, these people are playing 30 land and 12 to 15 mana rock, and that Null Rod just shut down a third of their mana production. You know, if they're stuck on 2 lands, maybe a third land by late game, and I'm still making my land drops and doing my thing, they're not. Those people aren't going to effectively keep up with you, or me in this case. So, and that's the controversial part because everyone likes their rocks. They don't understand what Null Rod really does. Oh, I need to go fast. I need to be able to get my combo. But do you really? Do you? Like, if you take away people's mana production, like, you, I mean, it's as good as a win. It's like casting an Armageddon that didn't actually touch you because you have your mana and they don't. Uh, Sticking with the mana denial thing, we also play Curse Totem because people like, any green deck likes to play every Birds of Paradise variant out there, all the way down to cards like Gilded Goose. Uh, Curse Totem is fantastic in Kaalia because it says creatures with activated abilities can't be activated. And funny thing about Kaalia, you really don't give a crap about Curse Totem. You have 2 creatures that care. One of those is Razaketh, which I actually don't play that myself. I mean, I can go back and forth. There's justification for it. There's certain builds that I'll play it, but I don't play Razaketh conventionally. The only other creature I have that's messed up by it is Steel Hellcat, which is also messed up by the Null Rod. So if I have one card that loses to my own cards in my deck, but those cards like crush other people, I'm okay with it. Because like if you don't have a Null Rod but you have a Steel Hellkite, you're in a pretty good position because you're gonna attack and you're gonna pay 0 or pay 1 and crush like all of someone's rocks and stuff. Like, I mean, you're pretty okay. Uh, Going down the list here, we got uh, Mana Web, which is an old rock, or not rock, an old artifact from Weatherlight. Basically, does a war's toll for against all your opponents, and it doesn't affect you at all. So it makes it really difficult for people to counter your spells. It makes it difficult for them to interact with you because once they tap their land, then it taps all their land. So they have to decide: do I want to develop my board? Do I want to interact with someone else? And if they do, they can't stop you.
And just a note,
Outside, yes, yes, outside of like Deadly Relic or Force of Will.
and just to note that the errata, because on the card it says target opponent, on the errata it
Yes,
says your opponents. So it's a everybody but you type of effect.
correct. It similar to the way that Aura of Silence is errated to be your opponents. Uh, anyway, going down like there's not a lot of spice here in the artifacts besides the Null Rod package. I got Crucible of Worlds because I'm playing 11 fetch lands in a non-green deck. You damn right I'm going to play Crucible and try to keep making my land drops every turn. Uh, Plus, I have the really sweet Judge promo with the old brown border, so that's always nice. Uh, uh, I love my Trinisphere because even free spells still cost 3 mana. Force of Will is great. Force of Will that costs 3 mana and makes them exile a card from their hand and pay 1 life doesn't look good. Uh, Dismember looks especially silly when there's a 3 sphere on the board. I'm gonna pay 3 and 4 life, or I'm gonna pay 3 of that. Like that looks like a really bad removal spell. Uh, yeah, 3 sphere, and like the thing is with 3 sphere is that it gets better the more competitive your opponents are. If you show up to the like a standard pickup game with some casual type players, 3 sphere doesn't feel like it does a lot. Like it'll do some. Like it'll, making a demonic tutor or rampant growth cost 3 is pretty decent. But once you get to those competitive, like top end decks, the guys playing Mox Diamond and Mox Diamond into Chrome Mox into Dockside loops, that that 3 sphere really slows those people down to the point that they really can't play. They can't go and combo out because they don't have the available mana to cast all the spells they need to. And if you really want to lose friends, go ahead and play that turn 1 off of Mishra's Workshop. Fantastic way to earn free punches in the face from your opponent, but it worked. uh, Aside from that, the only quote unquote rocks I play, and I use that term loosely because they don't actually ramp, is the aforementioned Arcume's Astrolabe, and its similar non-snow cousin, Prophetic Prism. Super simple rocks. I don't really care if Null Rod turns them off because they come down and they replace themselves, and then they take any one of any mana to filter into something else. So it's super easy, super convenient way to fix my colors. I don't care if Null Rod turns them off because like they already replaced themselves for me. It's gold. And bonus, if you ever played a Goblin Welder, those things are pretty fun to bring in and out of the deck because you just keep drawing free cards off. And last thing we're going to look at is the reason why there's no Canyon Sloths or Savai Triumph, and that's Tisabo's Web. This is a 2 mana artifact that cantrips, so already, we're in a pretty good position. And then it says lands with an activated ability that don't produce mana don't untap. So we're saying Maze of Ith is the premier example of a land that's hit by Tisabo's Web. But also Academy Ruins, Strip Mine, Volrath Stronghold. Interestingly, not Phyrexian Tower because both of its abilities are mana abilities. Um, Cycling Lands, which catches a lot of people, but cycling is an activated ability. And these are activated abilities that don't produce mana. So under Tisabo's web, these cycling lanes will not untap. So useful thing to keep in mind because anyway, Tisabo's web is great. It'll catch some people and take out some of their mana base. So that's why we're not playing the cycling land. That's that's really all there is to know about the artifact package that we got there. We're going to scroll down. Enchantment package. There's not a lot here. Necropotence is Necropotence. We know what that does. We know why we play that.
We better know why we play that.
Right? There's no explanation needed with Necropotence. You pay 3 mana and then you draw a shit ton of cards. I played land tax, which, like, back in the day, if you followed me, I haven't played land tax because I only play 6 basics. In this version of the deck, I am playing more basics so I can make sure I get at least 3 triggers off of land tax, which is definitely enough to be able to, justify the inclusion. You'll see Earnest Fellowship there. That's the signature card that I kind of discovered. When was that? I think 2012. That's when
it's been a while.
Earnest Fellowship first got into the deck, and that's when the deck took that card and named itself after that with the quote-unquote Fellowship version of Kaalia. And that's a simple 2-mana enchantment that gives each creature, so it's symmetrical, protection from each of its own colors. So Kaalia, for example, now has pro-black, pro-white, pro-red. So you can't plow it, you can't bolt her, you can't dismember her, you can't path her, you can't condemn, you can't devour in shadow, etc., etc. The only ways you can interact with her is you can Beast Within, Pongify, Hybridization, Reality Shift, the classic Simic cards that
Bounce.
we're always looking out for anyway, because Simic is Simic. Players play Simic because they want to be able to feel like they have a deck that can do anything and has no weakness. Not that I'm like jelly of Simic or anything. Well, of course not. Anyway, there is a couple of other. I actually play Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon in a 3-color deck without green. This is another part of that controversial take because people, you can't play Blood Moon in a 3-color deck, and that's because so many players play a lot of non-basic land. And the thing is, non-basic lands are great, but non-basic lands are still a liability that more savvy players, in this case myself, will capitalize on. And because so many players skimp on the number of basics, it makes them extra soft to a Blood Moon. And let's be honest, guys, basic lands are good. Basic lands are powerful. They come in untapped, they provide a color of mana for you, there's no drawback, they're even fetchable with all the fetch lands that we have. And here we're playing, let me scroll up right quick, 11 different basic lands. We're fine. With reasonable, responsible fetching, there's no reason whatsoever why you should ever get locked under your own Blood Moon. Don't be greedy with those fetch lands and try to get that duel and that next duel, and then, oh shit, I need to play a Blood Moon. Oh, but I can't because I'm not going to have my colors. Be smart, be responsible, And you'll those blood moons, Magus of the Moon, will win you way
Hmm.
more games than almost anything else that you could be doing.
Did you want to take the opportunity in these last couple of minutes to, at least for the deck tech portion anyway, to talk about your combo?
Yes, I should do that. Uh, yeah, because looks like the next thing coming up was going to be your tutor package, your card draw suite, and you're playing Mardu. You pretty much know what tutors and what card draw you're going to be playing. I don't think there's a lot of
Spice.
just
Yeah.
justification that needs to be made there. So the combo that I went for, part of that involves Dragon Tempest. It triggers when a creature with flying enters the battlefield. If that creature was a dragon, then you deal some damage to any target. Basically, if you get an arbitrarily large number of ETBs from a dragon, you wind up winning the game because you'll machine gun all the opponents. And how do you get an arbitrarily large number of ETB triggers from a dragon? Well, there's a nice little creature for six mana that we got all the way back in Judgment Block. You may have heard of this guy. His name is World Gorger Dragon. Or her name, I suppose. It's not really a gender specific card. It says it's, a 7/7 flyer, 6/6 flyer. You don't really care about the stats. That when it enters the battlefield, you're going to exile all the other permanents you have except for the dragon. When the dragon leaves the battlefield, you'll bring all those permanents back. So basically, what you're going to do here is you're going to play Animate Dead when the dragon's in the graveyard, or Necromancy if you want to do it at instant speed or something. Uh, that's going to bring the dragon back. That's going to exile everything, including the aura that you just brought the dragon back. When the aura is gone, the dragon dies again, which then causes the other ability to trigger, brings all your cards back. During each of these, including the Animate Dead, during each of these iterations, you're going to keep tapping all of your lands to float all the mana, some red mana, some white mana, etc. And you're going to keep doing this, eventually ending the chain with 9 gazillion mana in your mana pool.
Exactly 9 gazillion.
Yes, and so you have to end the chain on some other creature in the graveyard. Uh, doesn't matter what it is, but if you don't have another creature, then this game is going to be an involuntary draw because you can't stop it. Unless you use like Necromancy to do it at instant speed, and then you had an instant speed win con. That's something else entirely. In this particular deck, there's two different ways that I could end it. I could either have with all that mana, I'll end the loop by grabbing Siobhan Hellkite out of the graveyard, because that has an ability that you pay 2 mana and deal 1 damage to any target. So with all that mana, I just machine gun everyone there at the table. Or, and my own personal spice, of all the cards like this, I actually opt for the old classic Fireball. Because I have the old, fairly obscure arena promo of Fire. That's really the only reason for it. Because I like that really old look to it. And Fireball, you put the mana into Fireball, you pay 1 for an extra target, put more mana in for the next target, pay another 1, etc. You've got 9 gazillion mana, so it's no problem to set your Fireball up to hit 3 different targets. Bonus, by doing it like this makes this one spell target multiple things. So effects like Shunt, for example, that would redirect a spell to a different target, they don't work on it because it needs to have one target.
Yep.
Uh, so, as opposed to some of the people that'll use a Banefire effect, or they'll use an arbitrarily large number of searing touches, that these can get hosed by like a single like redirection type effect. Whereas using one spell with multiple targets, it's a little bit harder to interact. Like, I mean, obviously, it still loses to force of will. That, you can say that about 10,000 spells in Magic that all lose to
Right.
force of will. You know, uh, but you know, if you don't want to use Fireball, you can, use cut and ribbons from a Monkit block. You can use Comet Storm from Zendikar and the dozen of reprints that they've given that card. You can use Aurelia's Fury from Return to Ravnica. Any X spell that can hit multiple targets,
Mm-hmm.
including. Like I said, I opted for Fireball because I have that really old Arena promo. That's really the only reason.
And what a way to go out. So this is what we're going to do. We've spent the last half hour going over the larger portions of this deck tech. What I'm going to do with this video is uh, uh, you probably, if you're watching the deck tech video portion of this, this video is going to end, but I'm going to direct you towards the links in the description I'm going to put. One is going to be to MTG Nexus and the primer, which Three Drinks is this exhaustive primer that Three Drinks has written over there. So you can head over there and you can actually have a continuing conversation with him, because I know he checks it daily. I'll actually put a link for our Kaalia the Vast Discord, which Three Drinks is a moderator on, so you can interact
And I'm
with him there.
also and I'm also very active in the Discord as well.
Correct. So you'll have multiple chances to interact with Three Drinks and ask him questions about this very specifically in those two venues. I'll also, because we're going to keep going with this, there's going to be more. We're going to give Three Drinks the floor again and let him talk more specifically about other cards. I just wanted to create a concise version, a teaser, as it were. Let you guys kind of see the moving parts of the deck and what have you. We're going to keep going on Twitch. I'm going to post a long form, unedited version of this interview. It's going to be the last. It's going to be Deep Discussions, Kaalia the Vast, episode number 5. It's going to be there in its full length in its entirety, and then this abbreviated version is going to be a separate deck tech on YouTube on the channel as well. So if you want to hear more, if you want to talk more, go to those links, watch that video, and we're going to keep rolling. All right, buddy. Sorry for the interjection there. Let's keep it rolling for the people that are sticking with us.
That's fine. So yeah, that was the WinCon, the combo route that I've decided to go with and defend. Well, let's look at some of the next things that I've done. My removal suite is fairly. Yeah, I'd say it's fairly, standard, fairly ho hum. There's a few oddities. I love Lightning Bolt as removal. And I know there's people out there that are gonna say, "Oh, Lightning Bolt's only 3 damage. That doesn't hit enough in the format." Bullshit. What? Go out. Next game you play. Next 15 games you play. Take a notepad and a pen with you. Note how many times you either A, lost to some creature that's an X3, B, found yourself in some situation where you needed a cheap answer and you already spent your swords to plowshares. Hell, look at the next time that you saw a player sitting at like 2 or 3 life, and that lightning bolt could
Because they've
save the
ad
day.
nauseum, because they've used ad nauseum all the way down to whatever one, expecting to win. I was thinking of a different, because dockside is so prevalent. What's the name of that damned green creature that bounces things?
Uh, Tamir Sabretooth.
So somebody puts the saber tooth trigger on the stack to bounce their dockside to their hand because they're about to generate infinite mana and they're going to win. You can lightning bolt that dockside in response, and they'll send them to Crytown with
Uh,
on a tissue
to,
boat.
to be fair, if they have another 2 mana, they could activate it again in response to save the dogs.
But typically they don't. Typically they're running
Yes.
lean. Yeah, typically they're running lean and they're just counting. They're putting all those eggs in one basket. So yeah.
I, I know I've definitely killed people that brought themselves down so low, and I've definitely pointed a lightning bolt at a Brago player's face, and the look on his face, he's gonna blink his crazy bored, and the look on his face when I tapped one mountain and lightning bolted him, and he's like, "Huh? You mean people play that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you damn right they play that in Commander." uh, lightning bolt. I mean, it's really. I hate to say underrated, but it really is underrated in this format. People don't give the bolt the respect that it really and truly deserves. Uh, some of the other things I like, the and this is the other reason for playing the snow mana base I have, and that's on thin ice. 1 mana, enchant snow land you control. When on thin ice enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until on thin ice leaves the battlefield. I like that simple 1 mana removal. If you enchant, say, basic planes, they can't even wasteland to get their guy back. It's really incredible. Uh, a lot of people dismiss it, but it does work. It puts in some work, and if you ask me, it's totally better than Path to Exile because you're not giving your opponent an extra land. Screw that card. Uh, not that it's any big secret that I dislike Path to Exile. Path to Exile, Settle the Wreckage, Winds of Abandon. I hate all those. Any anyway,
don't give your opponents resources.
yeah. And if
Do
you're
not
gonna give them resources, like at least you better be giving yourself equal or more
or
resources.
greater. Yeah.
Like
But even then, this isn't Kaalia the group hug. It's yeah.
exactly. Like it's like if you watch legacy games, how with all the great cards in their card pool, how many times do you see any white X deck playing Path to Exile? None. Why? Because if you watch just how many times that one extra land that they untapped with totally just put them over the top. All that's a whole turn's worth of tempo advantage that you just gave them. You spent a card in hand to deal with one of their cards, but then you gave them another card. You two for one yourself. You spent one card and gave them a +1. Like, I mean, what's even better than that? Declaration and stuff. You'll spend 2 mana at sorcery speed. You'll exile whatever the threat was, and they'll get a clue. And why is this better? Because rather than giving them a free land, you took their guy, and then you took their tempo when they spend 2 mana to crack that clue. And people don't seem to get this concept because they're, oh, Path to Exile, I have to play it. And you bring up Declaration in Stone, you bring up the point, the tempo advantage aspect of it, and people immediately shut you out because they're the freaking hive mind that, oh well, no one else plays it, so I guess I shouldn't play it either. You know, they can't think for themselves, and it's like, look at it, do the math on it, look at the numbers don't lie, okay?
So
Like,
what else? What else is notable in your removal package?
uh, you know, th- think we're all aware of how good unexpectedly absent is.
In a fetch land.
Vindicate is vindicate.
Yep.
You know, you pay 3 mana, sorcery speed, you answer any single card. Vindicate, generous gift. These cards are great. These cards are incredible. Uh, Deadly Rollick is probably my most vanilla kill spell. I'm, I'm playing it out of. It's one of those that, like, yeah, okay, I guess I probably can play this. It's fine. It's kind of like when you play Wear and Tear. Like, you play that card, yeah, it's good. It's gonna do the job for you. It's nothing that you're gonna write home about, you know, but it does the job clean. So, that's really all there is to say about it. It's not the best card in the deck. It's not the worst card in the deck, but it fulfills the role that you need it to fulfill.
Well, that just leaves the creatures, my friend.
And the sweepers, it looks like, which
yeah,
I, I don't know how I feel about the sweepers now. If I should ever go back and reevaluate these, but you got Cataclysm for that sheer destructive power. You're gonna
classic.
take.
But it's classic.
What I do like about Cataclysm is that it kills all the Planeswalker because Planeswalker wasn't a type. So because of the wording of Cataclysm, it just people sacrifice all their walkers, and that's a little old interaction that you'll catch a lot of people with because they, the way you think of Cataclysm is kind of like tragic arrogance, and that, oh well, I'm going to keep my best one of each permanent type, but Planeswalkers are specifically not mentioned on it, so they're just like, oh, well, crap, gotcha. My other two sweeps, being Toxic Deluge, which probably not one of, is probably the best sweeper in the format. Super easy to cast, just 2 and a black. You pay whatever life you need. You give everything -X. Pretty hard to find a better sweeper than that. Although, perhaps if you're staring down like an 11/11 Animar, you probably don't want to pay 11 life to deal with that.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Not that I'm speaking from experience there or anything.
Yeah, the only time that Toxic Deluge feels bad for me is when you're facing down a Rurik Thar.
So you'll pay the 6 life and then you'll pay more.
It's stupid. I just built a Rurik Thar CDH deck for a guy in my pod, and anyhow,
the only other sweeper I have that, and I'm not sure if it's kind of getting a bit aged and maybe it'd be better off as something else, but is the old Fire Covenant. Instant speed spell. It used to be a 50-cent bulk uncommon, and now it's about a $6 uncommon from Ice Age. I can't imagine anything but Commander has driven that price up because that card was bulk for decades. But it's a 3 mana instant. Like I said, as you cast it, you pay any amount of life, and for each life you pay, that's damage that you're going to distribute however the hell you want it, wherever across any number of creatures on the board. So it's a very powerful sweeper in the sense that it's like a scalpel because you'll point it exactly where you want it. You'll shape it around like the academy rector that you know you don't want to hit the yard. You'll only kill the stuff that you want to kill or that matters or that you need to kill. Uh, but it does put a hell of a payment on your life though. You do have to be mindful, because you can easily covenant yourself for 15 and not realize it and be like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Again, not that I'm speaking from experience there. uh, so yeah, that's the only three sweepers I actually play. I know everyone is like, "Oh, it's Commander. You have to play 7 sweepers in your deck." No, that's how you play a really clunky deck that doesn't do anything but rat the board and show you these 3.5 hour marathon. You don't need to play that many sweepers.
Yep.
You need you need to be smart about how you play if you actually need to sweep the board, or if just a simple pinpoint answer is really what you need. Not this, oh, spot removal is bad in Commander because it's card disadvantage. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That is a garbage argument, and if you come up with that argument, you are a garbage player. I'm just gonna be blunt with it. Because that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Shots fired.
Like, oh, spot removal is bad. Here, let me play this turn 2 Dark Confidant. And oh, you didn't remove it for 10 turns. I get, like, what did you think was going to do? You just let me, draw 10 cards for 2 mana because you didn't want to spend your 1 card to deal with my superb threat. Like, come on now. Like, if spot removal is so bad, like, why are you so afraid of Kaalia? Like, play a fucking removal spell and you're fine. I could rant on the spot removal shit for hours and hours, but I will
well, you're halfway there.
Save you, right? Well, I will save you, and I'll save the 2 listeners that we probably have from my diatribe about that and the importance of
hit him up on MTG Nexus about spot removal.
I'll go there. Help. Hit me up on Twitter, and I'll send you a 10-tweet chain about why spot removal is so important.
With a complete with wrestling references to rub it in there. It's like rubbing dirt on it,
There you go.
And I think the only thing,
yeah.
I think the only thing that's left is the big fatties. Yeah.
Yeah. Look. Yeah, because after that, drops the kill condition and the whole deck. So yeah.
Anything notable out of your suite of 24 creatures?
1, 2. Yeah, so I have 17 angels, demons, and dragons that we can drop with Kaalia. Of those, let's see. We all know about Casella, Balefire, Angel of Despair, Lord of the Void, Runescarred, the aforementioned Steel Hellkite, Rakdos, Sire of Insanity, Doom Whisperer, we all know, Bloodgift Demon. I mean, he's a Phyrexian Arena on a body with a relevant type. Like the bar for Bloodgift Demon to clear to make it into the deck is really low. Like, he often won't, well, incorrectly not draw removal because he's just a 5/4 that lets you draw an extra card. But he's still good. But he's not villainous, so like people don't look at him as, and I can't help but think that's a mistake. I digress. We got Linvala, Keeper of Silence, because if 1 Cursed Totem is good, 2 Cursed Totems is better. Let's see. We know Doom Whisperer, Lyra Dawnbringer. It's important to have threats that you can actually cast because sometimes people actually read your cards. And when people read Kaalia, Kaalia doesn't attack. Plus, we tend to pay a lot of life, and Lyra helps us to kind of mitigate some of that life loss. I used to play Baneslayer in that spot, and then Lyra's just kind of better, honestly. The fact that she minor pumps some of her angels is typically better than Baneslayer's very niche protection.
Mhm.
But, if you can't get Lyra, Baneslayer fits the job just fine. Uh, Two sides of the same coin, really. Uh, we all know Terror of the Peaks. That's another kill condition with the World Gorger, because you'll get all those ETBs that Terror of the Peaks will see. Uh, same way that Dragon Tempest works, and that works if, say, you don't have another creature in the yard and you don't want the World Gorger loop to go on indefinitely. That gives Terror of the Peaks gives you an out for that. Um, and he's also really good. He's pretty pushed. He's hard castable. You know what's not to like? I'm cool with him. Uh, like I said, we all know Gisela Bladed Gold Knight. You know, we all know Lord of the Void. He's gonna come down. He's gonna exile 7 cards off their deck and steal their best creature out of there. It's always fun, always a riot. Uh, the only thing that's gonna be different from most people is, again, with my snow mana base, I'm allowed to play Rhymescale Dragon, which has a kind of stacks or tax effect to it that I pay 3 and tap down one of your guys and put an ice counter on. And as long as I have the dragon, those guys with the ice counters don't untap. So, say key creatures like Captain Sisay that like to untap so they can tap, now they just don't untap.
Yep.
Like, that's easily like my most flex spot, I suppose, because like most people don't play Rhymescale. I like him. He's decent. He he's fun. He dropped that down, and like everyone else at the table reaches over because they want to read that card because they're not familiar with it. It's decent. It's something unique to that 3 drink signature blend, so to speak.
Mmm.
And yeah, that does it.
Sweet.
Yep. Uh, if you're gonna, if you're setting out to build your Kaalia and you're looking at angels, demons, and dragons, I know that the ones I've listed there are really can be very expensive to acquire, and you don't have that kind of money. And I totally get that. In these times, this weird pandemic that we're in, money's important, and you want to spend money on the bills and shit before you spend it on expensive painted cardboard. So if you're looking at angels, demons, and dragons, focus on creatures that do something when they deal combat damage to an opponent.
Mm-hmm. Or ETB.
It doesn't even matter so much. Yeah, ETBs, but it doesn't even matter so much what they're doing. Just if they do something when they deal damage. Things like what's a fantastic example? Lord of the Void is a great example. Balefire Dragon, but Balefire is
Pricey.
real pricey, despite the what he's got 2 prints, I think, and a premium print. Something. Damn, what's a good but underused dragon, demon, or angel that does something when they hit?
So I always forget the name of it, but it's that 5-drop angel that I forget the name. It's like when it does combat damage to an opponent, that opponent skips their next combat step.
Blinding Angel, because
Blinding
we
Angel.
just talked about that on the last show.
Yep.
I remember that.
So blinding
Blinding
Angel,
Angel's cool.
it's one of my most because that's the thing. Like at most commander tables, which are not typically uber competitive or CDH or what have you, combat damage is a thing. So most people are trying to assemble this great team of Avengers to get out there and smash face. It's amazing how just a small 2/4 Angel makes contact and just nulls their game plan. So I highly recommend Blinding Angel as a because I mean that's the thing. Like, what's better than just like dropping it, hitting somebody, and like, oh, don't have to worry about you for another turn. Next, it's like, yeah, it's player removal for a turn, essentially.
Another great example, and this card's less than $1, is Steel Hellkite. He's gonna connect. You're gonna pay X, and you're gonna get a one-sided engineered explosives on that player. Like,
Or
it's so good.
you're gonna pay 0, and you're gonna kill all of their treasures.
All their treasures, their tokens, their Moxen, or you know, maybe they have like a threatening creature, and you just pay the mana to hit that creature's mana cost and take him out, take it out. Like there's a lot of good that you can do with that guy. Like that guy came out in Scars of Mirrodin, and there's a reason why he's still got a permanent role in the primer. This primer was written in 2011. Steel Hellkite still has a permanent role in the deck in 2020, going into 2021. Like that, if that doesn't say enough about its power, about its value, because Scars of Mirrodin, that was what, 2012?
Yep.
So we're going on a 9-year tenure of this card to still have such value. And he's still like less than $1. You know? Grab him, love him. Treat Steel Hellkite right, and he will treat you so well. And hey, as a bonus, if you're like me and you adore Goblin Welder and you try to fit Welder into
Everything, yeah.
Welder brings the Steel Hellkite back.
So on that note, all good things must come to an end. We have spent the last hour together, which is unbelievable because, well, we say this every time. We sit down, we hit record or we hit stream, and the next thing you know, an hour has gone by. So, this conversation...
I can't believe it's been an hour.
Yeah, this conversation will have to continue on MTG Nexus, which is a forum, or the Discord, which is just a private server that people of like minds, in this case Kaalia the Vast, can interact. Like I said, those links will be in the description of this video. Feel free to. I swear to God, if he's awake and he sees your post, he will answer you directly. Doesn't matter if it's noon. Doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. If it's there, he will pay you attention. And there's nothing greater than that, especially when it comes to this lady that we love so much. So, any famous last words, my man?
And Clay here, like he's not wrong either. I work some very weird times, and I'm awake at weird times. I'll talk about Kaalia at 2:30, 3 a.m. I don't care. I'm always thinking. I'm always spinning my wheels. I'm active here in the server, whether I'm dropping a spoiler card, whether I'm talking a theory that came to mind. Right now, I'm in the budget portion talking about this old face only Rebels deck with Trin and Sylvar, because I'm always staying within Mardu. And like I have a few hobbies, so what hobbies I do have get a lot of time and energy for. And Magic being one of those things, I've been in this game for over 20 years. It's about 23 last I counted. You know, I'm like a veritable card encyclopedia.
Of old
You
cards.
know,
Of old.
some old of old, some new, but nowadays Wizards is putting out cards so often
It's hard to keep up. Yep.
But like, I mean, there, yeah, there's so much that I could talk to. I mean, we could go another 3 hours here just talking, but I'm not gonna keep you because, like, unlike me, for you it's almost 11 o'clock, and it's not that for me. I mean, if I look at my phone, I see it's not even 9 o'clock, so I don't know what he's talking about. But I digress.
So yeah, I will. For those of you who will catch this on Twitch, you'll have a couple of days head start. So what I'll do immediately is I'll go into the Twitch feed and drop a couple of links so that way you have access to them. But for the YouTube stuff, it's going to take me a day or two to get the final pieces together and get them uploaded and what have you. So yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Happy to help.
Yeah, and you're definitely going to have to check out the visuals of this last one when it pops up. It's going to be pretty cool. Be pretty
See,
cool.
usually I'm a podcaster, so I just listen. So, but I really do need to go and check out, see what the video portion looks like as well.
Well, the previous ones have been just a card in the center or off to the side rather, and two little green circles like popping up. Like right now, my face on this video is in one corner and your avatar is in the other corner, and as you speak, the little green circle lights up. So previously it was like the card on one side and then our two little circles like lighting up and what have you. So there wasn't much really to see. This one here has like some flame animation and like I said to you previously. So yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Well, to be fair, the reason why you just have my avatar up there is that no one wants to see my green mohawk there on screen. So, like, maybe someday when I go back to spiking it up again, maybe. But then if I spiked it up, I couldn't have the headset on I have now because it's gonna get in the way of the spikes.
Right, and then by the time you'd have to like have such a large like field of view. You have to pan out so far. I mean, it's not like they're going to be able to see your face anyway. They're going to be standing across the street just to get the mohawk into the frame, right?
Exactly.
All right, brother man. I think that is me.
All right, man.
I am going to get this stopped and then